Hey guys, I'm back in California for the Civic Si. Media Drive cannot wait to bring you those driving impressions, but it's been a few days since the Mazda CX-50 has been announced. We're finally going to get into it. I've been really busy traveling. Thank you guys for your patience, and let's dive into this incredible Mazda crossover. Over at the Mazda media page, go figure, Mazda reveals the all-new CX-50, and I am completely floored by the design of this vehicle. And because of that, we'll look through the pictures first, then we'll go over the details like powertrains, availability, things of that nature. So the front end, my gosh, it's like you take the CX-5 and you just widen it. This thing looks quite menacing for a crossover. And you can tell for the first time ever, Mazda is advertising their crossover as an off-roader, and it's going to be standard all-wheel drive, but look at this really sturdy roof rack. I want one of those. Hopefully they're available from the dealer or at least from the factory. That'd be cool too if you can order yours with that really sturdy roof rack. Now it looks very similar to the I think it was the patent leaks of the front end, but it just looks so much better in now that we have the full the real production version here. The wheels look a little Subaru to me. That's not a bad thing, right? They're going for that off-roading market. We have horizontal parking lights here. They're also going to be your blinkers. I think that looks pretty classy. And then we have a black surround. Now that's going to change depending on the package you get. But we do have a black surround here on the CX-50 with a black grille. And if we zoom in, we even have a blacked out surround for the new headlights. And these headlights look amazing. Now this vehicle is not going to replace the CX-5 in theory here in America. I wouldn't be surprised if it does over time. I love the fender arches and just how aggressive these wheel arches look. It looks like a more modern, more macho version of like the Mazda RX-8 from back in the day. And even the rear has some very aggressive haunches over the rear wheels, almost like Porsche Macan sort of thing. Not quite as smooth and suave as the Porsche. This is a little bit more angled, a little bit more macho, a little bit more muscular. The rear looks great. Go figure. We know Mazda's good for the dual exhaust. And you see this right here, turbo. Yes, Mazda is bringing their turbocharged 2.5 Skyactiv-G in it. And the rear taillights are kind of a mirror of the headlights, and that's not a bad thing. They look really solid. And that's one of the things on the CX-5 when I reviewed it recently. The taillights just didn't look like they aged very well, but the headlights look good. But these taillights look out of this world. And you can see they also have a black surround to them. This could be a fake mesh cut out there, which it doesn't look bad from afar. You get close and you see it's fake. It's kind of like that Supra effect, if you know what I mean. But I feel like it's more welcome here on a crossover. And man, this thing just looks so wide also from the rear. It's a very stately presence that it has. Now this is the new color. We'll talk about it in a little bit, and you can just see how much more contrast it gives with those blacked out headlight surrounds. And we have, with this off-roading trim, a CX-50 cladded decal on the hood. I don't know what to think about it. And it looks like we have very little window trim chrome. It's just on the back here. It's probably darkened as well. That's interesting. That just seems like out of place, this little piece of chrome on the rear window daylight opening. I don't know why they just wouldn't make it all black. What do you guys think about that? I just noticed also the plastic fender arches have a little bit of a design to them as well to make them a little bit more wide looking, and they're kind of a mirroring of what's going on over the actual fenders sitting right above it. Another look at the front, looking solid. Another look at the roof rack, and you can see that this is just throwing me off. This is probably the only thing about the design that looks kind of out of place. We could also have some reflective piece down here at the very bottom, which is not a good place to put a sort of reflective material. So there's a close-up of the hood. Looking at the recorder panel, they're really proud of that. They have like 7 different images, it feels like, of this exact image in different lighting, appealing to the more adventure crowd here as we got some rock climbers. And then appealing also to the camper people out there, the woodsy people with their tent and looks like the redwood forest. And then we get into the interior finally, and they have finally updated the center MID, if you want to call it that. This has always been very minimal. It looks like it's going to stay that way, but they've given it maybe new cinematics. So when you switch to the new off-road mode, and there's just one off-road mode, nothing too special there, you get a different MID design behind the steering wheel, which is the first, I believe, for Mazda, or at least this sort of ornate nature of it. And it looks like we have a cog cut out for the off-road, or maybe that's supposed to be an off-roading wheel of some sort. It's hard to say, but these are fully analog on the left and the right, and I'm okay with that. I like how simple and elegant Mazda keeps their instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. It looks really good here, and I'm happy how it's kind of evolved with this new CX-50. On the interior, all I can say is this looks like a Mazda 3 on the inside. For the most part, especially with this dash line. One vent kind of just sticking out here. It kind of looks out of place, but we do have vertical vents here for the driver and the passenger. Nice design with this stripe going through the middle of the seat. I don't believe we have a close-up of the seats. I'm going to zoom in here to the center area. Rotary dial, we're not going to have a touch screen. And that's going to connect to this 10-inch screen, I believe, up top. This looks like it's pulled straight out of a Mazda 3 and CX-30, if I remember correctly. We have heated and ventilated seats. We have a heated steering wheel button. No tuning knob. So yes, here's your volume knob, and no tuning knob in a new Mazda. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw a tuning knob in a Mazda. It's a tough one for me. Anyways, the interior looks very Mazda, very good, and this will be again right up there with the CX-5 in terms of interior plushness and interior quality, maybe even better, because these seats look pretty snazzy with the stripes going through the middle. Looks like we have some heated outboard seats here. Again, it's kind of hard to tell, and then some charging ports in the back with some vents. Pano sunroof for the first time in a Mazda, so you guys can rejoice. It's good to see that here. And it's time to go over the press release. This will be built in Huntsville, Alabama, alongside the Corolla Cross. Yes, it is going to be more Toyota than a Mazda has ever been, and that's not a bad thing. They say to enhance its off-road capability, it will be standard with the latest i-Activ all-wheel drive system. I remember driving the Mazda 3 sedan, I believe, in the winter in Nebraska in the snow and the terrible conditions. It did great. So it's that sort of technology going to be baked into the CX-50, and that is standard, whether you get the naturally aspirated or the turbo. We'll talk about hybrid as well. It's coming, not at launch though. So we get the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated, 2.5 liter Skyactiv-G turbo, and they both have the 6-speed automatic transmission. I saw some people kind of disappointed at that. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, yes, 6-speed is like antiquated compared to the 8, 9, 10 speeds on the market. This transmission is solid, it's bulletproof, and it shifts very quickly and satisfyingly. I love this transmission. I hope Mazda keeps it for another 5 to 10 years. That's how much I like this transmission. It's not the quickest, but it shifts very satisfyingly. And no, it's not gonna be the most efficient because it only has 6 gears, but man, really grinds my gears, if you know what I mean, when people say, oh, Mazda's 6-speed is so old and outdated. It's a great transmission. And the coming year CX-50 will also be offered with electrified powertrains, including a traditional hybrid model. So they're not going to say anything about it, but I'll take a stab at it. Let's go over the actual powertrains available at launch though. Skyactiv-G, 186 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque. That's probably going to be the volume seller for most people out there. But to match the looks with the powertrain, you're going to get the Skyactiv-G Turbo, 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. Love this engine. Very torquey. It's going to be perfect for off-roading. My gosh. Okay, this hybrid powertrain I've been saying for, I don't know, 6 to 8, maybe longer months at this point. It's going to be Toyota sourced. That's why they say traditional hybrid powertrain. It's not going to be anything out of left field. 99% sure it's going to be this right here, the 219 horsepower, 2.5 liter A25A FXS hybrid setup that we see in the RAV4 hybrid. And it's probably not going to get the same sort of fuel economy. It really depends on how heavy this Mazda CX-50 is. But from the looks of it, I'm not expecting it to get the same sort of 40 miles per gallon, but close, maybe 38 miles per gallon, or upper 30s MPGs for this new CX-50. So I mean, I might be happy to give up a couple MPGs from the RAV4 hybrid to get this really slick looking and now efficient CX-50. No words on when this hybrid will be available. Oh yes, and it will have a much nicer interior than a RAV4 as well. That kind of brownish sand color is called zircon sand, go figure. And the interior color we saw earlier is the terracotta. And I forgot to mention, production is beginning this January. So we're just a month, 2 months out from the CX-50 entering production. So availability could be early as, I don't know, February at this point. Also keep in mind that Mazda plans to ramp up production to 150,000 units per year. That's banging on the doors of the CX-5. And with how this looks and the off-road market as hot as it is, I feel like this could outsell the CX-5 and kind of siphon sales away from the CX-5. It's going to have a little bit more interior space. It's supposed to be wider. And I feel like this is a good time to throw a curveball at you guys, because the CX-60, which we won't be getting here in the United States, we'll be getting the CX-70, has been spied out on the streets. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't look as good as the CX-50 we just looked at. Now, of course, this is pre-production. Who knows? There could be some things subject to change with the design. This looks like more of an attempt knocking on the doors of Genesis or something. It looks more of that sort of style of a vehicle. To be honest, I don't like the headlights. I don't think it looks nearly as good as the current CX-9, for example. So yes, I know it's not an official images, but it's been spied. We're over at WAPCAR. These images are floating all over the internet, so I felt like sharing it to you guys. Here's a red one. It looks a little bit better in the red. Maybe it's because it's a sport version. They ditched the chrome for maybe a black grille surround. But we're getting closer to that inline 6 rear-wheel drive platform hitting the market. And you can see this is a great diagram that Mazda has given us. Depending where you're at in the world, you're getting different models. The CX-70 and CX-90 are going to be wider versions of the CX-60 and the CX-80. CX-90 is kind of like a direct replacement of the CX-9, and the CX-70 is going to slot between the CX-5, CX-50, and the CX-90. So Mazda will have 4 2-row crossovers. You have the CX-30, well, the CX-3 is available in some markets, not here anymore. You have the CX-30, which is kind of like subcompact crossover, but it's not that, it really isn't that small. And then you have the CX-5 and then the CX-50, which is going to give you even more room, a little bit more leg room for the rear passengers as well. And it's going to offer a hybrid. Like, oh man, I'm just really excited for the CX-50 if you can't tell. And then they're going to have the CX-70, which is going to offer different powertrains than the other front wheel drive based models. So inline 6, I guess we can go back to the spreadsheet for S's and G's here. It's really hard to say, but more than likely it's going to be this right here, 325 horsepower, 400 pound-feet torque. Those are my estimations. It could be a lot different than that, but I'm expecting a turbocharged inline 6 from them. And it's supposed to be a mild hybrid, so that should help with fuel economy. But yeah, I just hate engines turning on and off if they're not designed to be smooth. So hopefully the engine turn on and turn off is very smooth. With an inline 6, it should be, because the center of the mass of the engine is within the center. There shouldn't be any shaking of the vehicle, if you know what I mean. Like you would see in a V6 or even an inline 4 that's horizontally mounted. But anyways, really excited for the CX-60, but not if it looks like this. I don't know, guys. Even this looks cheap on the side on the fender. Anyways, guys, I'll see you down below. Are you excited for the CX-50? I know Mazda's designs are good, but I really couldn't find anything to not like about it other than the weird allocation of shiny reflective window trim on the rear window. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the comments. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Mazda news and reviews. I was going to get the MX-30 fully electric car for hands-on review tomorrow, but I'll be flying back to Florida instead of reviewing the 100-mile MX-30, which I'm really excited to do. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.